Greetings, I'm Demonac, and I don't have time for this shit. And today I'm gonna play Slay the Spire. I really don't have time for this shit, but I've spent like a bunch of time playing it, so I figured I might as well play it for you guys. So if you like my Hearthstone, like arena runs, and particularly the dungeon runs in Hearthstone, I think you might like this, even though obviously the gameplay is quite a bit different. I saw Quill 18 and Briarstone playing it a whole bunch, and they sucked me in, and I went and bought it. It's in early access now, but it's pretty gamey already. So, first thing, you choose one of these three characters. One of them hasn't been released yet, like period. One of them you unlock after I don't know, you unlock it pretty fast after the game. But I haven't played that one yet. I'm gonna save it for my next run. But for now, we'll take the Ironclad. He's a tough character, and he heals at the end of every combat. So your hit points don't recover to full after every combat. This game, it's a deck building game, and managing your hit points while you progress through a big map or several maps actually, it gives you a lot of interesting stuff to do. It's thematically, you could think of it as being similar to the dungeon runs in Hearthstone, but of course it gives you way more like strategic choices to make at every step, and I like it a lot for that. So this thing, as long as I think you have to make it to a boss to qualify, but usually when you start a new game, you get to talk to whatever the hell this is, and it gives you a random selection of buffs here. I think the first, there are a couple of common ones, and then a couple of like uncommon sort of options. You can choose any one of these options to try and improve your deck. So basically, the game is you have 3 energy every turn. You're fighting against one or more opponents, one or more enemies that you're trying to kill. They're trying to hit you back. You have these. You start with a bunch of these basic cards. Strikes cost 1 energy, deal 6 damage. Defends 1 energy, block 5. And you get one slightly more interesting card, although Bash is a little expensive. You 8 damage, and it gives a debuff to the enemy. So right away, you want to just upgrade this deck, maybe get rid of some of these cards as you get newer cards, and every time you win a battle, you get a new card. There are a bunch of random events and stuff. Oh, you'll see, it's pretty cool. So do I want to remove a card from my deck? Maybe, but that's kind of boring. Obtain a random relic. Lose 8 max hit points. Start with 80 max hit points here with this class, which is, seems like a lot to me. I lose a lot of hit points as I go. Transform 2 cards. So that'd be choose 2 cards I don't want anymore and just get random cards in their place. Or lose my starting relic, which is the one that's giving me 6 hit points at the end of every combat, and obtain a random boss relic. Boss relics are very powerful, but random, a lot of them have big drawbacks to go with their massive power, and this is really good for getting you through the game. For the hit point management, it makes it a lot easier. I think that's why you get this guy first, because this, not like overpowered, but it is very sort of noob friendly. And I'm going to go with this, because this is going to get more interesting cards earlier. So I'm going to lose 8 max hit points. I'm going to get rid of one of these basic defense. So I'm not a huge fan of defense. I want to kill everything. Don't get me wrong, you need to manage your hit points. You really do need good defense cards, but these are so crappy. I want like better defense cards. And do I get rid of Strike or Bash? I'm going to keep Bash for you guys. I think I would probably get rid of the Bash myself, because I'm not fond of this card later on. It doesn't upgrade that great to me, in my opinion. So I'm going to get rid of 1 strike and 1 thing. It's going to give me 2 random cards. So we got Double Tap. That is amazing. And Seeing Red, we'll have to see. So the Double Tap is just spend 1 energy, and the next attack I play in the same turn goes off twice. Amazing. And then Seeing Red, it spend 1 energy to get 2 energy, so I net a gain of 1 energy at the cost of a card, but it removes itself from the game. Anything is like, that's what exhaust means. Anything is exhausted, you get it back for the next battle, and it's just for that battle it's gone. So that's interesting. The Double Tap is an amazing card. You can also upgrade your cards slightly as you go on. Anyway, we're going to get going. So here's the map screen. This is the first level of the dungeon I want to get through. In early access, there are only 3 levels. I don't know if there are more levels later once the game goes live or whatever. I'm sure they could keep adding to this thing forever. So I can choose one of these 2 starting locations, which are just a regular fight. There are also these mystery locations, which could be a fight. It could be any of these things, but including weird random events, which can be very powerful. And they're usually either beneficial or beneficial with a drawback. Some of them are pretty bad. Usually you get some kind of choice. A bunch of these elite monsters are obviously, they're much tougher. They're likely to do a lot more damage to you than a normal fight. But the reward you get is much better because you get another relic, kind of like this, although not always super powerful. The campsites you get to heal up, like, I don't know, a quarter of your hit points or a quarter of your max hit points or something like that. Or if you don't need the healing, if you think you can make do, you can instead upgrade one of the cards in your deck. So those are very good. Chests give you another relic. You get a lot of stuff to go through the game, and there are also shops. Did I see? Yeah, there's a shop there where you can use money to remove a card from your deck, maximum once per shop. But also there's all kinds of relics and potions and stuff you can buy. All kinds of options. Let's get started. I'm going to choose. There's not that much money for the shop yet. I think I'm going to go this way. All right. So here's a basic, simple battle. There's one dude here. You start out with 5 cards in hand. Basically, you draw 5 cards and get 3 energy every turn. So every turn you discard any cards you don't use. That's how the game works. And you can see a hint of what your enemy is going to do above their head. If it's an attack, it'll tell you exactly how much damage they're going to do, so you can plan for it with your defenses. I don't need to defend this turn because he's not attacking. He intends to buff himself. He has 50 hit points. If I bash him, that's going to make him vulnerable. I don't need to defend this turn, so that's going to take 2 of my 3 energy for the turn. Oh god, where's the so slow? And now he's going to take 50% more damage. And it said vulnerable 2, so that means it's going to last for 2 turns. If I gave him vulnerable again, it would just stack on more duration. So now I can hit him with this, and it's going to do 9 instead of 6. Then end my turn, obviously. And this game, I really like how this game handles it. There is a ton of randomness in this game, okay? There is very little randomness in combat. You can get cards in your deck that do some random things, and that can make a big difference. But the vast majority of the time, the combat is totally deterministic other than what cards you draw. And you can always see... My computer hates me for some reason. You can always see exactly what cards are in your discard pile, which might be important for card interactions. You can always see exactly what cards are left in your draw pile. Mine is empty, so at the end of this turn I'm going to reshuffle. Or if I had anything that drew me a card, that would also just immediately reshuffle this, so it can keep giving me cards. You can't run out of cards in your deck. I guess maybe you could exhaust your whole deck. I don't know how that would happen. I don't think the game would allow that to happen. Just overall design, I guess theoretically it could. So he's going to do 6 damage to me. This would block 5 of it, which is good enough because remember, I'm healing 6 at the end of every combat, so I don't have to be perfect. I could play this and it would give me extra energy once. It's really not doing me that much good. I'm going to save this actually because this is removed from my deck for the battle once I play it. I'm going to hang on to that in case I need it later. I'm going to double tap. I don't have any good attacks right now. Trust me, later that's going to be amazing. For now, that's just giving me a second strike for the price of 1 strike. So he's still vulnerable from last round, so he's got that. His buff is giving him 3 strength every turn, which is going to increase his damage. I can gain strength 2, or I could gain agility or dexterity, whatever it's called, which increases the amount of block you get from cards instead of the damage, but that's okay. So I've got that 5 energy now. Alright, 5 armor. Armor, unless you have a weird spell effect, armor goes away at the end of every turn. So there's no point, you can't just stack up a whole ton of armor. Any armor that's not used will just go away. He's super dead now. He's got 15 hit points. I can just 1, 2. But I can also play this and get the extra energy. And I had enough to play the other card, but it ends combat. As soon as you kill him, why waste time? I looted some money. Goes in a pile. It's very useful if I get to a shop. And I get to choose a card. Every fight they win, you get to choose a card. And, oh man, this gives you, I've found that every game you play is very different because all the choices you get. So, whenever you play an attack this turn, gain 4 block. I mean, you can do things that might allow you to play more attacks. Right now it costs 1. That's not great to me. It's not going to help me much right now. Thunderclap deals 4 damage and applies 1 vulnerable, so just vulnerable for 1 turn to all enemies. I've seen fights with up to 4 enemies. I don't know if you can. No, maybe there were 5 enemies in that one. Normally, fights max out around 3 enemies, but that's still, if you hit 2 or 3 guys for the damage, that's not a lot of damage, but it would still, if I had 2 guys, it's more than a strike. And making them vulnerable for one energy is pretty good. Or there's Clash here, which is 14 damage, as you can imagine. That's a huge amount of damage compared to my other cards. And it costs 0. Can only be played if every card in your hand is an attack. So right now, the defends and even the double tap and the seeing red would get in the way of that. Of course, I could double tap, and then if that was the last non-attack card in my hand, then I could Clash and it would hit for twice for 28. That would be pretty awesome. Right now, with all these defends, I might have a hard time using the Clash. I don't have anything to manipulate my deck. I think I'm going to take it anyway. It's pretty strong. I might regret it later. It's going to make things interesting, though. Okay, let's take a random event. I usually take an event over a fight. The random event could just be a regular fight, or it could be an elite battle, or it can be anything. I find usually the first one's good, but maybe I've just been lucky. Find a shimmering mass of light encompassing the center of the room. Its warm glow and enchanting patterns invite you in. Enter. Upgrade 2 cards at random. Lose 14 hit points. That's not max hit points. That's just take 14 damage. I wish I'd gotten this later. This is kind of a waste, because it's probably going to upgrade strikes and defense. That's what most of my cards are, and they suck. By the way, I can examine these cards and see what happens when they upgrade. Oh my god, why is my computer being a piece of crap? I mean, it's always a piece of crap, because it's getting old, but yeah. So, yeah, you can click here and view upgrades. See, if you upgrade this, it'll go from 5 block up to 8, which makes it way more useful in these early levels, for sure. 5 is usually not quite stopping an attack. 8 will often stop an attack. But there's also strikes. They just go up to, I think, 9 damage. Maybe it's 8. Maybe it's only 8 damage. Oh my god. Is this game just, interacting terribly with my, XSplit? Or, I don't know what's going on. Yeah. Double tap. If you upgrade it, it works on the next 2 attacks you play, which could be amazing, but it's really more situational. I normally don't upgrade double tap. I haven't had it that many times, but I'd rather double tap and then have a really powerful, 2-cost attack or something and do that, rather than have to worry about arranging it to where I have enough attacks that I can afford to play. It's hard to get more energy. That said, I gained 6 hit points of fight. I have to take this anyway, but it's going to upgrade, yeah, look at that, 2 random piece of crap cards. As you walk through the light, you notice the light is absorbed into you. It's scorching hot. However, the pain quickly recedes. You feel invigorated as though you received a well-deserved slap. I did not deserve that slap. If we go this way, get another random event, regular fight, random event, and then I could go either camp, shop, or elite, regular guy thing. And the elites, I should probably try and fight elites when I'm on the first floor when they're not that hard. There's a chest usually around the halfway mark. There's always the same number of chests in every path. So you can't get more chests by choosing a path. But other things can vary. There's also always a campfire last thing before the boss. When you first start playing, the bosses will just appear as a skull. You won't know which ones they are, but as you defeat bosses, they show up in the future. You get to see them. I'm going to take the random events, but I might go with the elite. I can choose later. I might go with the elite because I should really try and prioritize fighting the elites and getting more artifacts in these early levels. Okay, so this... Woohoo! Hello! What have we got here? Hello, adventurer. I ask a simple question. Most fulfilling of lives is that in which you can buy anything. Do you agree? So I can gain 175 gold, but he will guaranteed put this crappy card in my deck. It's so this card just when it's in your hand, you can't play it. If you have something that lets you discard a card, you can discard it, but you can't play it. And at the end of the turn, it gives you 1 weak. That's 1 stack of a debuff that makes you do 25% less damage. So 25% less damage for 1 turn. That's pretty obnoxious. On the other hand, 175 is a lot of gold. Let's look at that map again. This game is well designed. I like that you can look at the map pretty much anywhere. You can look at your deck pretty much anywhere. You're not getting screwed out of that. So I take that. Then I would go question mark. camp, shop, I think. I mean, there's another shop later, but every shop you go to is a chance to remove a card from your deck, which is pretty good. So that would go against the plan of fighting the elites, and it would give me this crappy card. So at first it costs 75 gold to remove a card from your deck, and it's going to cost more and more as it goes on. That's a tough one. I don't know if I want to do that, because I'm going to want to get rid of that. I should probably take that, but I'm not going to, because I'm going to go fighting the elites instead. It's more likely to get me killed, but I don't know. Usually the first level's not that hard. Okay. So I could double tap, and if I could clear the rest of the cards in my hand, I could double tap Clash and hit this guy a lot. And you know what? If I defend, seeing red, back up to 2 energy. I don't need that, but I get rid of that. Now, if I play the double tap, there are no non-attack cards in my hand, so I can now Clash, and it's going to go off twice. And I also got all that armor from the defense. So that's a good way to winning this little tiny fight. He hits for 11, which seems pretty hard for this level, but I had the defense there, so it's fine. And now I just have to do 13 damage. He's going to do something defensive next turn, but he's not going to live that long, because I can bash him and then hit him with my upgraded strike. Blah. Splattered. 19 gold. I got a potion. You can store up to 3 potions. I'm terrible about using them, so I'm going to try and use my goddamn potions whenever I can, except this one's kind of weak-ass. It sounds impressive, gain 1 artifact, but it doesn't mean one of these things. Artifact is a buff that prevents the next debuff that hits you, which is fine, but it's really not that exciting a potion. So I can choose from Headbutt, which is 9 damage. That's like an upgraded strike, so that's pretty good. And I get to choose a card from my discard pile and put it on top of my draw pile. I mean, I have to do it if there are any cards in there, but that's really handy for manipulation later on if you can get some card drawing stuff. It helps you with combos. Rupture is a power, so when I play this, it's out of my deck for the rest of combat. It just takes effect on me. Like, this is just a buff for the rest of the battle. This one is whenever you lose hit points from a card, gain 1 strength. So that's not from enemy attacks. That's whenever I play a card that deals damage to me, I would gain 1 strength. Which is interesting, because again, strength, every 1 point of strength that you gain is plus 1 damage to all your attacks. That's pretty cool, but I don't know if I'm going to have set up for combos like that. Intimidate costs 0, which is nice. And it gives all enemies 1 weak, so they're going to do 25% less damage for 1 round, and it removes itself from your deck. That's not that strong. The Rupture is really interesting, but I'm going to take the Headbutt because it's just solid. At this stage of the game, it's good damage, but it's also just really good deck manipulation. Okay, we get another random event. These can be really random. Among the stone boulders, you notice an intricate large blue statue resembling a wing. You find gold spilling from its cracks. Maybe there is more inside. You can lose 7 hit points to remove a card from your deck. See, that would be, if I had taken the curse earlier, I could have just gotten rid of that. You can destroy this thing and gain 50 to 80 gold. Or I could just leave. I think I've been here before and not gotten this option. You have to have an attack that deals, I think, 8 or more damage in your deck, or you don't get this option. You just don't have enough strength. Just take the money, remove a card from my deck. I'm really a fan of removing cards from the deck. I've already added a couple of attacks. I don't want to remove too many defenses. As much as they get in the way, I don't have better defensive cards to replace them, and I'm bad for ending up with not enough defense in my deck, and sometimes running into trouble. But, yeah, I'm going to remove a card. The other thing is, if I spend this gold, it'll cost this much gold or more, if I roll, like it takes 75 plus to remove a card from my deck at a shop, and every time you remove a card from your deck at a shop, first, you can only do it once per shop, and secondly, it costs more every time you have done it in the past. So, someone once told you of a cult that worshipped a giant bird. As you kneel in prayer, you begin to feel lightheaded. You wake up sometime later, strangely light of foot. Okay, so I'm either getting rid of a regular defend or a regular strike. Man, I want to get rid of those defends, but I'll regret it. I've got more attacks. I'm much more likely to choose attacks than defensive cards, so I'm better off getting rid of that strike now. So I could go to the camp. This would let me upgrade a card, and then I'd go to the shop and buy stuff. I'm going to hope I get some more money and maybe hit up this shop, I think. That's going to be my plan. Because this way I get to fight an elite. I guess I could fight an elite if I went that way too. Yeah, it doesn't look like I can manipulate it too much. Whatever. We're going this way though. I don't need the hit points that much. You could argue that I do. That's the amount of damage I'm down is not much more than heal. This guy mostly just hits really hard and then buffs himself and then hits really hard. But he's not attacking this round. Again, you can see his intent here. He's just going to buff himself. So there's no point in using the defend. I think I'm going to Seeing Red so that I can... So it's 4 energy. I'm going to bash him and then strike him twice while he's vulnerable. He's going to be vulnerable next turn as well. So that's pretty good damage. Excuse me. Okay, he's enraged now for 2 turns. Or no, that's enraged for the rest of the fight, I guess. Whenever I play a skill, so that, again, there are several types. There are attacks, skills, powers, and there might be another one. But mostly it's attacks, skills, and powers, I think. And whenever I play a skill, he's going to gain 2 strength, which is plus 2 damage on all his attacks for the rest of the fight. So the problem, like right now, my defends are kind of crap, so it's probably not even worth playing him. Except if I play both defends, which will piss him off. It'll avoid all damage this round, but it'll make him do more damage in the future. But then I would be able to double tap, clash, and then headbutt and put the double tap back on top of my library. Whoa. Oh no, I only have 3 energy. I can't do all that. Ah. Okay, you know what then? I'm not going to defend. I'm going to take the 6 from him. Oh yeah, whoops. That does buff his strength, but yeah, I don't want to... I guess it depends how fast I'm going to kill him. I am going to put the double tap back on top. Actually, I just don't have that much good stuff to combo, and I've got my clash here, so you know what? I'm actually going to put the better strike on top. And then because it went off twice, I get to use it again, so I am now going to put the double tap on top. Right, I forgot because I headbutt went off twice. So he's at 29. If I play a defend now, he's going to do 10 damage minus... Like, that's really not a great deal, but on the other hand, how fast am I going to kill him? 29 damage. Am I going to be able to do 29 damage next turn? Probably. I'm going to be able to do 18, but that takes 2 energy, so probably not. I think I'm going to just take the 8. Maybe dumb, but... Yeah, that made me vulnerable too. I'm pretty sure I would have got vulnerable anyway. That is a big attack. God damn it. So if I play the bigger defend, then double tap, then I can actually clash him at that point. Okay, I might be able to kill him. Hold on. I gotta play this because I gotta get it out of my hand. We are pissing him off. Double tap. We're gonna use the double tap to clash. And look how hurt he is. There we go. S-M-R-T. S-M-A-R-T. Okay, I got 28 gold. Yay. Mango, which is raises... The fruit seems to just raise your max hit points by varying amounts depending on what fruit it is. But plus 14 max hit points. That also... I think that gave me current hit points. And how much you gain when you rest is based on your max hit points. So that's nice too. Add a card. We get Bloodletting, which... I lose 3 hit points and gain 1 energy. If you upgrade this, it actually gives you 2 energy. Clothesline, which deals 12 damage, which at this point is not that bad, although it costs 2 energy, and makes them weak for 2 rounds, which means they're doing 25% less damage. Or there's Twin Strike, that deals 5 damage to the same target twice. So that not only is that a 10 damage attack, but if you gain strength from anything, then this is gaining that strength twice. So that's pretty good. These are all solid cards. Man... I don't think I have expensive enough stuff to justify this right now. It's just going to make it harder to clash, frankly. I think I'm going to go with the Twin Strike, because it's a lot easier for me to... Making them weak is really good, though. And if I double tap this, it does actually a little bit more damage than that right now, because I don't have any strength things. Okay, I'll take the Clothesline. Those are the spoils. Still got. I gotta remember if there's an enemy that's debuffing, that's gonna debuff me. I gotta remember to use this. I usually end up having 3 potions and I get a new potion. I'm just discarding a potion. I like never use them. You don't need to be so stingy with them. The game is not that hugely long, and they're not that rare. Okay, let's fight. Fight. So we've got 2 enemies here. Is this the first time I've had 2 enemies? That is crazy. Okay, well anyway, we've got a little poop here that I can take out. He's going to do some kind of debuff to me. And then the big one is also going to do a debuff to me. Whoa. So, yeah, the strike would almost kill him. If I had any interesting things that do a little bit of extra damage, that would do it. But can I kill the big guy? If I double tap him, and then I strike him for 18... No, that's going to leave him with more damage than I can do, that's for sure. So I could double tap and then clothesline him, hit him for 24 twice, and hit him for 12 twice, which is 24. He do less damage. Or I could just clothesline this thing. It dies. I don't get another debuff from it. He's not doing damage this turn. Yeah. It seems lame not to double tap, because that thing is awesome. I don't have the greatest things for it, though. I'm better off just killing this guy, even though it's a waste of the debuff, because the strike was not enough. Then I'm going to hit him, because he's not attacking me this turn, so there's no point in defending. It's going to lick me. That makes me frail, so I gain 25% less block from cards. That is the weakest debuff I've ever seen, because it only lasts for 1 turn, and he's debuffing again instead of attacking. So these guys are sad. Let's, I want my double tap back. No, I just want my strike back. I'm going to kill him anyway. He is not particularly threatening. I'm not even going to Seeing Red, because I don't need the armor this turn. Armor only lasts for 1 turn, and he's not doing damage. He's just... Okay, now the frail will last an extra round, except then it goes back, because he didn't do anything with that time, so he's an idiot. Double tap. No bonus for, like, overkill, but whatever. Die. Yeah, it doesn't even show the second. Energy potion. Gain 2 energy. Again, this is just, like, once. It's just, like, for that turn. But that's a much better potion than the artifact one, I think. Much less situational.
If you want to see more of this hit the like button. And don't forget to subscribe to Demonac Games for more Hearthstone Arena and other gaming videos.